Hello, how are you today? Today, inshallah, we will take 10.4 cell differentiation. In the last lectures, we mentioned how the cell will grow and divide and what is the process of the division, and we studied the cell regulation. You have to memorize all of the information that's mentioned already in the previous video. Let's start today with the cell differentiation. What do we mean by the cell differentiation and what we mean by the type of cells that what we will take inshallah in our lesson. So for today's objectives, we will be able to describe the process of differentiation and define what you mean by stem cells and explain the importance of the stem cells and identify the possible benefits and issues regulating to the stem cell research. So inshallah there is a specific vocab that we will take it today, like stem cells, the stem cells, the differentiation, and the type of the stem cells. Look at the picture here. What you can see in this picture. For me, I can see multiple types of cells. All of these cells comes from a specific type of cells called stem cells. Let's read the type of these cells and let's see the difference between these cells. The first one, muscle cell, blood cells, nerve cells, cardiac cells, liver cells, intestinal cells. All of these cells comes from the stem cell. So the stem cells, which is the initial type of cells that will start or form all of these different types of cells. So let's start with the differentiation process and let's learn how one cell become multi types of cells. From the beginning, you have to know that all of the organisms come from one single cell. This fetus come from one single cell. These cells called the embryonic cell, or as you mentioned before, stem cell. So the embryo, which is the early stage of development, okay? And during the development, an organism cells become differentiated and specialized for particular function. Not all of the cells have the same function. Not all of the cells have the same structure. Not all of the cells have the same organelles inside the cells. So we have to know that different cells have different structure and different function. Each cell will have a specific function in a specific location. So we have to know that during the development, the specialization and differentiation will happen to the cells. So as you can see here, this is a plant cell. There is many types of cells. All of them are called the plant cells, okay? But this type of cell is different from these different types. As you can see here, this type of cell here, the color of this type of cells is green, while here it's different compared to this one. But as you know, as you have to know, the color for the cells here comes from the photosynthesis process, okay? So these cells must be in the leaves, while here, these cells must store this sugar, and here, the cells are long cells because the function for these long cells is transportation. So according to the function of the cells, the cell structure will be, okay? Let's start with defining the differentiation. What we mean by differentiation? What's the name or what's the meaning of this process? So differentiation, which is the process which cells become specialized with a special function and special structure. As you can see here, this is a cell. From this cell we can differentiate or form multiple types of cells like red blood cells, platelets, neutrophils, monocytes, eosinophils, mast cells, B cells, T cells. All of these cells come from one specific cell in a process called differentiation, which is happening here for these types of cells in the bone marrow, okay? So cells differentiate into many different types and become specialized to perform certain tasks. For each of these cells, there are specific tasks. As an example, for red blood cells, what's the task for red blood cells? Which is carrying the oxygens and the gases from the lung to the different tissues. So, as we mentioned before, these cells have different function, different tasks. Okay, according to the task, the cell will be specialized and differentiate. For the cells, or for the human cells, there is multiple types of cells. Let's start from the totipotent cells, which is able to become every type of cells. As an example of these totipotent cells, which is the fertilized egg. A fertilized egg is capable of doing everything, of performing every type of cells, okay? After a few days of the totipotent cells or a fertilized egg, a human embryo forms into a blastocyte. What do you mean by blastocyte? Blastocyte, which is a hollow ball of cells with the clusters of cells inside known as inner cell mass. So it's a cluster of cells inside a hollow mass. The inner cells mass are called pluripotent. This totipotent, after a few days, will perform, totipotent will perform blastocyte. The blastocyte have inner and outer. The inner part is called pluripotent, which can become many, but not all of the type of the cells, okay? The body cells in general. As an example of cells that will differentiate it into many cells, which is the stem cell. The stem cell are unspecialized cells from which the differentiated cells develop. So the stem cell, which is like a mother cell for all of the other cells. As you can see here, this is an embryonic stem cell, by the way. After we culture this embryonic stem cells, it can perform or form many types of cells like neuron cells, fat cells, smooth muscle cells, macrophage, and that will come from the inner cell mass. Again, this is the blastocyte, the hollow part, the inner mass, which is we can take from it the embryonic stem cells that can form many types of cells, okay? Let's check again. This is the fertilized egg, and the fertilized egg, after a few divisions, will be formed totipotent stem cells, and these totipotent stem cells, after a while, will be forming blastocyte, and the blastocyte inside have a pluripotent stem cells, and these pluripotent stem cells will form many types of cells after differentiation and specialization. So again, we can isolate these pluripotents in the lab to form a cultured pluripotent cells that will perform many types of cells like neurons, muscles, and blood cells, and so on, okay? So embryonic stem cells found in the inner cells mass and called pluripotent. Again, what we call it, pluripotent. That's good. We have another types of stem cells that is found in the adult cells. So we have an adult stem cells. Adult organisms contain certain stem cells, not all types of the stem cells. As you can see here, this is the bone, and inside the bone we have a bone marrow. Inside the bone marrow we have a specific type of stem cells that could be generating many types of cells, okay? Adult stem cells called multipotent. So this is the third type of cells, multipotent. The first one, pluripotent and totipotent cells, and the third one, which is multipotent cells, produce a few types of differentiated cells. Not all of the types, there's a few types. So we have totipotent and pluripotent and multipotent cells. Okay, these cells and multipotent cells can form a few types of cells like red blood cells, white blood cells, eosinophils, macrophages, B cells, T cells, and so on, okay? And also we can form fat cells, cardiac muscles, and so on. As an example, for the adult stem cells of a given organ or tissue typically produce only the types of cells that are unique to that tissue. So the cells that come from the bone marrow are unique to the bone marrow, just for the bone marrow. Stem cell research may lead to new ways of repairing the cellular damage. So the cells that will be damaged, we can treat it by the stem cell, okay? So the stem cell technology is a great technology that could help the people to repair the damaged tissue. Sometimes the damage that results from heart attack, stroke, and spinal cord injuries can be treated by this technology. So this is a good technology. We can take the stem cells from the bone marrow and we can grow these cells, and then the stem cells are injected into the heart muscles, the heart muscle that's already damaged, and the environment of the heart stimulate the injected stem cells to differentiate into new muscle cells, specific cardiac muscle cells, okay? So this technology could help the heart to generate new cells that could help and repair the damaged cells, okay? This is a dead cells that is found, or dead tissue that is found in the heart, in the muscle, the cardiac muscle, and this cardiac muscle, after we inject the stem cells, could stimulate these stem cells or the injected stem cells to form the cardiac muscles to repair the problem that's happened. Okay, after we study this lesson, we have to know there is an ethical issues for using the stem cells. Not all of the time it's good to use these stem cells. Most techniques for gathering embryonic stem cells destroy the embryo. So it's really hard for the scientists to take or gathering the embryonic stem cells. Sometimes we destroy the embryonic stem cells, which is really bad for the cells. And groups seeking to protect embryos oppose such a research as unethical. So it's unethical to use some of the researches that is related to using stem cells that is from the embryos. Other groups support this research as essential for saving human lives, and so view it as unethical to restrict the research. So we have two opinions here, we have two sides. So for some people it's unethical to use embryonic stem cells, the other it's unethical to prevent the using of the stem cells from saving the lives of the people. So there is many issues according to the ethical part, okay? Let's make now a review for the lecture. What is the earliest stage of development called? The earliest stage, which is embryo. Second, the next question, the process by which cells become specialized is called differentiation. What is a totipotent, pluripotent, and multipotent? Totipotent can become all the cell types, pluripotent can become most cells, and multipotent can form few cells related to the tissues. Number 4, stem cells are what cells? We can say that stem cells undifferentiated cells. Adult stem cells produce cells that are what? Are unique to that tissue. So the bone marrow cells, which is our stem cells for the adult, will produce a unique cells to that tissue, like blood cells and so on. Why is stem cells research important? It's really important for the people to could repair the damage in a specific cells and save lives. So for now, I really appreciate you if you can gather the information from the book and the video and help yourself to improve yourself in the biology. Have a nice day and thank you.